Good evening. Today we are dealing with a very important topic, potentiometer, which is the last session of our third chapter, current electricity, that is part 4. Now, this potentiometer is a instrument that you can use to measure the potential difference. The other instrument that you would use to measure the potential difference is voltmeter. Towards the end of this session, you will see why we prefer a potentiometer over a voltmeter to measure the EMF of a cell. So our topic for today is the potentiometer. You will be doing both the application that I teach you today in the lab also this year. Okay. Now, this potentiometer basically consists of a long wire made of the same material that we discussed under meter bridge, magnanin or constantin. So, you know the reasons why we use this material. One reason is that this material has high resistivity. It also has very low value of alpha, which is the thermal coefficient of resistivity, temperature coefficient of resistivity, which means that even if the wire gets heated up, its resistivity does not change much. Very low value of alpha would mean that the resistivity is almost a constant for temperatures, different temperatures. So that is the reason why we use this material, manganin or constantin, simply because both of them have high value of resistivity and low value of alpha. Now, so this consists of a long wire made of this material, usually around 5 meters to 10 meters, and this wire will be of uniform area of cross section. This potentiometer, in your textbook, we are dealing with two applications. One is to compare the EMF of two cells that are given to you, and the other one is to find out the internal resistance of a given cell. Both these applications you will be doing in the lab also. Now, the arrangement for both these applications of your potentiometer has two circuits, one called the primary circuit and the other called the secondary circuit. The primary circuit always will consist of a cell. This cell of EMF E is called the driver cell, simply because it is this cell that is going to drive the current in your potentiometer wire. It will also have in series a variable resistor like a rheostat, an ammeter, a key connected to the wire which I told you is around 5 to 10 meter long. It is of uniform area of cross section and made of this material manganin or constantin. So this is that long wire AB, the potentiometer wire, and this circuit is what you call as the primary circuit of this potentiometer arrangement. Now it will also have a secondary circuit where you will be connecting a cell whose EMF, let's say you are asked to find out, it's got an EMF E1 and you are asked to find the determine the EMF of the cell. This will be connected to a galvanometer and the other end of the galvanometer will be connected to a jockey, which you can hold on in your hand like a pen, and it will make a sliding contact and you can pull to the right. Now this primary circuit for both applications will remain the same. Whether you are asked to compare the EMF of two given cells or asked to find the internal resistance of a given cell, the primary circuit will always consist of a driver cell which drives the current through the potentiometer wire, and a rheostat, let me call it as RH, ammeter and a key. But the secondary circuit that I have drawn here will depend upon the application to which you are putting your potentiometer to. Now the basic principle of the potentiometer is very simple. Let us look at something like this. Suppose you have two cells that are connected like this through a galvanometer. Okay, this is your galvanometer. This has, let's say, E1 and this has EMF E2. So the terminal potential difference when there is no current is what is E1 and this is E2. If there is current, you would call it as V1 and V2. Now, this is going to send current in this direction and this is going to send current in this direction. Now, if they have the same terminal voltage, then what happens is these two currents will be the same, and since they are in opposite direction, the net current in the circuit will become 0 and your galvanometer will show 0 reading. That is, the current through the galvanometer will become 0. Or if I'm telling you the reverse of what I just told you now, if you see that the galvanometer shows 0 reading, it means that there is no current in the circuit. It means that the terminal voltage of this battery and the terminal voltage of this battery are the same. So that is why, since both are connected with their positives like this, they send the same current through the circuit, and since the two currents are in opposite directions, the net current will be equal to 0. So this is what you need to understand when we discuss the potentiometer. So here we will see now that this is sending a current through this wire. So let me call that current from the positive terminal as I. When it reaches the junction here, this current will split into two. Let me take the current I1 passing through the cell, through the galvanometer and to the jockey. So the remaining current I minus I1 must go through this branch according to Kirchhoff's law. Kirchhoff's junction rule tells you that the current entering a junction must be equal to sum of the current leaving the junction. So if you take the current entering the junction, it is I. What is leaving is I1 plus I minus I1. So this I1 and I minus I1 will get cancelled. The leaving current is also I, and that is why I have taken this current as I minus I1. Now, if you have, if in case your galvanometer, suppose we have a case where your galvanometer is showing 0 current, no deflection, null deflection, your needle is at the center, null deflection, then that means the current is Ig is 0, no current through this branch at all. So that means this I1 has reduced to 0, no I1, 0. Because this branch is now not carrying any current, this I1 is 0, which means at that point the full current I must go like this, because when the current reaches here, no current through this branch, so the full current is going through this. Now as this current goes through this wire, there is a potential drop across these two ends. Since this end is connected to the positive, we will call this as the positive and this end as a negative. So between this and this, there is a positive and a negative, there is a potential difference, and that potential difference, which I will call as V, should be equal to, let's find out, the potential difference across this length AJ is equal to whatever is the current passing through that multiplied by the resistance offered by this much length of wire. This is a high resistance wire, so it's a high resistance wire, the whole potentiometer wire. So I into whatever resistance is offered by that much length of wire is what I would call as RAJ. So this is equal to I into rho L by A, where rho is the resistivity of that wire, which is a constant. A is the area of cross section of the potentiometer wire, again a constant, and L is this length of wire, this much length of wire is what I marked here, because that much resistance. Now this driver cell sends constant current I through the wire. You can keep checking that using the ammeter. So if the ammeter has to keep showing you a constant value, because you are ensuring then that the driver cell sends constant current through the wire, which means I, rho and A, these three being a constant, you may write V proportional to L. And this is the principle of a potentiometer, that is, as you hold the jockey and start pulling to the right, as you go to the right, this much, as the length goes on increasing, the potential difference across that much length of wire also goes on increasing. So that is the principle of any potentiometer. V across the length of wire is directly proportional to that length of wire. Now here we said V proportional to L. So that means V should be equal to some constant K into L, where you will see that this constant K, what we took is I rho by A. So resistivity, area of cross section and current through the wire should be a constant. Only then the principle of the potentiometer is valid, V proportional to L. Here K I am going to define as V by L, which is the potential drop divided by that length of wire, which means it is K is, what do you mean by K then? the potential difference across unit length of wire. That means as I hold the jockey and go through 1 meter of the wire, what is the potential difference across that 1 meter of wire? That is what you call as potential gradient. So this K is called the potential gradient, and naturally its SI unit must be equal to volt per meter, because this is in volt and this is in meter. So its SI unit is volt per meter. So I hope you know what potential gradient means. It is a potential difference across unit length of wire. That means as I hold the jockey and pull to the right, when I go through 1 meter of the wire, what is the potential difference across that unit length is what you call as potential gradient. So here I got the potential gradient by dividing this much potential V divided by this length of wire, and it could also be obtained by taking the total potential across this end to this end, VAB, divided by the total length of wire, which I will give as capital L. Total length of wire, which I will give as capital L. VAB by capital L, or this V by small l. Okay. So here we know V is equal to, from this formula, I know that this is equal to KL. Now let me explain how we can use this potentiometer. Suppose you want to determine the EMF of this cell that you've connected here. You don't know, this EMF is an unknown EMF, and you want to find out the EMF, how much it is. So I connect the circuit like this. Then I take the jockey and then I pull to the right and stop when my galvanometer shows null deflection. The moment my galvanometer shows null deflection, I know that there is no current through this branch. It means that the potential difference across this length of wire must be equal to the terminal voltage of this cell, which is what I told you before, that if you see that when you connect the two cells across a galvanometer, if you see that the current is 0, it means that the two cells are having the same terminal voltage. So here this galvanometer is connected across this voltage V, which we know as KL, and this cell like this. So if your galvanometer shows 0 deflection, then naturally it means that this E1 is equal to this much potential difference, that is V, which is equal to Kn. Now this I call as the EMF and not V, simply because when your galvanometer shows null deflection, the cell is not carrying current. And if the cell is not carrying current, then naturally it has to be the EMF, because in my previous session I told you, whenever a cell does not carry current, the terminal voltage, the potential difference between the two electrodes or two terminals is what you call as the EMF. So now probably you would have understood why a potentiometer is a better device or an instrument to measure the EMF instead of using a voltmeter. Because if you want to measure the potential difference across the EMF of the cell, let's say you connected the cell to a voltmeter. Now a voltmeter offers resistance, and so you have put your cell into a closed circuit because your voltmeter offers some finite resistance. So you have put your cell into a closed circuit, and if your cell is in closed circuit, definitely it is carrying current. And if it is carrying current, then what you're measuring is not the EMF, but you're measuring only the terminal voltage V, which is always lesser than the EMF. So if you want to find the EMF and not V, then you have to use the potentiometer, because in your potentiometer you are using the null deflection. And when you use null deflection, when your galvanometer shows 0 deflection, it means that this branch is not carrying current, your cell is not carrying current. So what you're measuring is the EMF. Okay. So I hope you have understood how we can measure the EMF by simply finding the balancing length. So here, if the balance length is L, balance length means the length of the potentiometer wire for which you get null deflection in your galvanometer. If it is L, then we know that this is going to be equal, the potential difference across these two ends is going to be equal to K times L, and only if that is equal to the EMF do we have the condition where the galvanometer shows 0 deflection. So now if you have understood so much, then the two applications that you have in your textbook are extremely easy. The first application I told you is to compare the EMF of two given cells. You'll be given two cells and you will have to find the ratio of their EMFs. Now here, the primary circuit I told you in both the applications will remain the same. It will have the driver cell sending a current I. It will have the rheostat, the ammeter and the key, and this is a potentiometer wire. Okay. Now what I'll do is, I'll connect the first cell that has been given to me as E1. The second cell also here given to you as and this is connected to a galvanometer, and this will be connected to the jockey. Now this is called a two-way key. Two-way key would mean, suppose I insert the key here, then that means I am making a connection like this, and I have included E1 in the circuit. So this key is open. Suppose I keep this key open and insert the key here, close the key here, then that means I've made this connection and I have connected E2 in the circuit, but I have not connected E1 in the circuit. So this is what you call as a two-way key. So I have connected it this way, and now I will first insert this key here, which means I have closed this portion and I have included E1 in the circuit but not E2. Then I hold the jockey, start pulling to the right, and I will stop at the length L1, for which my galvanometer will show null deflection. Then I may write E1 proportional to L1, because E1 is equal to KL1, or I can write E1 is equal to KL1, which is my first equation. Then what I do is, I remove this key and insert this key. Close this key would mean I am connecting this. So now I have connected E2 in the circuit. Again I start pulling from the left hand towards the right, and let's say my galvanometer shows null deflection at a different length L2. So now I have included E2, so I may write E2 proportional to L2 or E2 equal to KL2, and that will be the second equation. Now if I divide the two, I have E1 by E2 equal to L1 by L2. You would have noticed that in both the cases, your galvanometer, when I am taking the balance length, your galvanometer is showing null deflection. It means that there is no current through E1, there was no current through E2. So that is why we may write E1 and E2, because we are measuring the EMF whenever there is no current through the cell. So now you see that is so simple. You just compare the EMF by, you would have found out the first balance length as L1 and the second balance length as L2. Divide the two and you get the ratio of the EMF of the two cells that were given to you. So that is the first application given to you. Okay. Second application in the textbook and what you will be doing in the lab is to find out the internal resistance of a cell that is given to you. Internal resistance, as you know, is a constant for a cell, and I told you in my previous session that it depends on the kind of electrolyte that you use, the temperature of the electrolyte, the electrodes, the distance between the electrodes, the area of the electrodes dipped in the electrolyte, and so on. Okay, so if you have to find the internal resistance of a given cell, again I repeat, the primary circuit is always the same, there is no change. In the secondary circuit, what I will do is, I connect the cell E1 whose internal resistance R1, let me call it as simply R. R I am supposed to find out. Then I connect this to the galvanometer and this I will connect to the jockey. Okay, this is the galvanometer. Now here I will give another resistance which I will call as R. Here we have the rheostat. Here I have resistance R and I have connected a key here like this. Okay. Now first I will keep the key open. If the key is open, it means that this branch is not connected at all. This branch cannot carry current, right? Because your key is open, there is an air gap, and so no current is going to pass through this, meaning this is equivalent to not being connected. So now I have connected E1. I will hold my jockey, start from the end A, pull to the right till at some balance length L1. The galvanometer shows null deflection. So immediately I may write E1 proportional to L1, first equation. or E1 equal to KL1. Next what I do is, I will now insert the key. Now the moment I insert the key here, it means that this is a complete circuit. Your cell is now connected to an external resistance. So it is in closed circuit. So it's going to send some current like this. And so now, because your cell is in closed circuit, the potential difference across its terminals will now be called V, which is equal to E minus IR. And that is because your cell is now carrying current. Now what I do is, I will find the new balance length. Now your cell is carrying current. Now I hold the jockey and pull to the right till the jockey will reach a point. Let's say this length is L2, where the galvanometer will show zero deflection. This galvanometer showing zero deflection means that this V is balancing the potential difference across a length L2. It's not the EMF, but the potential difference, the terminal voltage V, that is balancing this much potential. Okay. For example, suppose the EMF of this cell was 2 volt. Initially, the potential difference across that L1 length would have been 2 volt, and that is why the galvanometer showed null deflection. Now, when you are allowing current to pass through the cell, your V, as you know, is equal to E minus IR. So I told you there is this V will be lesser than E. So let's say when you allow current to pass through the cell, this V dropped to, let's say, 1.8. So now your balance length, this much length of wire will only have 1.8 volt, and that is why your galvanometer now shows zero deflection. So you may now write V proportional to the second balance length L2. So since V is less than E1, surely your balance length L2 should be less than L1, right? Because R is V proportional to L. That's the principle of the potentiometer. So when your terminal voltage decreases, the balance length is also decreasing. If I divide this, then I have E1 by V equal to L1 by L2. This E1, remember this formula that I taught you in the last session, not the last one, the second part, E by R plus small r. Now do you remember that this was for a given cell? Suppose you have a cell like this connected to an external resistance R. This one's EMF is E and this is internal resistance R. Then the current I in that circuit is given by E by R plus R. So here we have our cell which is connected to this external resistance capital R. So I may write this formula as, this one's EMF was what? E1 connected to an external resistance capital R and internal resistance R. So if I cross multiply, E1 can be written as I into R plus small r, where this capital R is this resistance external connected to your cell. This is the internal resistance of the cell, which is what you're going to find out. I is a current here in this, not this current I, sorry. This current is what I'm going to, let us call it as I dash. Okay, so this is I dash divided by, now this V across a cell can be written as your formula I dash capital R, Ohm's law. If you have a resistance R and if you have a current I, then the potential difference across the cell terminals, that is the potential difference across this, will be I dash R. So this is going to be I dash R. Now this is what we have as L1 by L2. So if I cancel this, then I have R plus R by capital R equal to L1 by L2. From this you can get small r equal to capital R bracket L1 by L2 minus 1. Okay, I simply cancel this. R by R is 1, which I took to the right hand side. So I have L1 by L2 minus 1. Then we have a small r by capital R here. So small r is capital R into L1 by L2 minus 1. Now here I hope you understand that this small r is the internal resistance of this cell. which we are asked to find out. Capital R is a resistance R that you have connected across the cell. L1 is the balance length, the first one when in open circuit. L2 is the second balance length minus 1. So this is the second application which you will be using to find out, your potentiometer is used to find out the internal resistance of a cell. Now, so the two topics that are given in your textbook are over. Only two applications you have in your textbook, and only these two applications you will be doing in the lab also. But there are a few more things that I must discuss in this potentiometer so that you will be able to answer the application questions well. First of all, remember, as you get into the lab, the moment you get into the lab, you will be asked to make your connections, and once you make your connections, your teacher will ask you to hold the jockey at end A and at end B and check if your galvanometer, that is, you have this cell connected here to the galvanometer and to the jockey, okay, and this is E1, and your teacher will ask you to hold the jockey and then press it at end A and press it at end B and make sure that your galvanometer, if it at end A it was pointing to the left, by the time you reach end B it should go to the right. Now the reason why you have to check that is because if both times, suppose you hold the jockey at end A and at end B and both times your needle is to the left, then it means that your galvanometer, see this is the zero reading, your galvanometer both times at end A and B, if it is at the left side, then that means it is never going to come to zero. You may move from end A to end B and never come to zero deflection. So that is why before you start your experiment, make sure your connections are correct by simply pressing at end A if it's at left. By the time you reach end B, it should go to right. So somewhere along the wire, you will get, as you move your jockey, somewhere along the wire, you will get the zero deflection. So make sure that before you start the experiment, take the jockey, press on both ends and make sure that both times it is not at the left, both times it is not at the right. From left to right, it should move so that at some point you will see that your jockey comes to the zero deflection, null deflection. Now suppose that does not happen, it means there are two faults in your connection, two mistakes in the connection. The first reason is, see, I told you the principle of your potentiometer is you are connecting two voltages, allowing two voltages like this. That is your galvanometer here, like this. And I said both these cells are sending currents in opposite directions, or the EMFs are the same, and then that is why there is no current in the galvanometer. Okay. Now what happens here is, so suppose you had connected like this. Instead of like this, you connected like this. Now what is happening? This is sending current like this and this is sending current like this. This is how it's going. So these currents are never, you are not ever going to get a galvanometer showing zero deflection, simply because both the currents are in the same direction now. You have connected the terminals in such a manner that both of them are in the same direction. Okay. So what happens then is your galvanometer will never show zero deflection. So here what we have done is, suppose unknowingly you connected like this. Then what happens is, here this is the terminal, this is the driver cell terminal. So this end is positive and this end is negative. So for this voltage, we have this end as positive, this end as negative, and this cell, this is negative and this is positive. Such a connection if you give, you will never get zero deflection. So you have to connect your cell in this manner. Only then will the two voltages, that is this and this, send zero current through your galvanometer. So first mistake is you have connected your cell with the wrong polarity. So both the driver cells positive and this cell in the secondary circuits, that one's positive, must come to this end A. Otherwise, you will see that your connection is not going to give you zero deflection. At no point will you get a zero deflection, because there will always be current in your circuit. Okay. The second reason is, see, if you have, let's say, your primary circuit. Let us just consider the primary circuit now. If I'm talking about the primary circuit, okay, you have a resistance offered by the rheostat. This wire is going to offer some resistance, and you have the driver side. Now, the full voltage that is available across VAB, that is VAB, the total voltage across the wire will be equal to the current in the wire multiplied by the resistance of that full length of wire, right? Now, this is going to be equal to I into, this is rho capital L by A. Wait, that's not the formula. This is equal to, now let us look at the current in this wire, an expression for current in this wire. Current is, you know that it is voltage by resistance. The voltage available in this primary circuit is only due to the driver cell. So, current I will be E by, let's look at what are the resistances in this circuit available here. Naturally, this will have an internal resistance small r. There is a rheostat RH, and then there is this RAB, resistance of this wire RAB. These wires offer zero resistance, negligible resistance, because they are connection wires made of copper. But this wire, the potentiometer wire, we said is a high resistance wire. So in this primary circuit, resistance is offered by the rheostat, the high resistance wire RAB, and the internal resistance of the cell. So the current here must be equal to the voltage that is available E in that circuit divided by resistance of the rheostat plus RAB plus the small internal resistance, because all of them are in series. You have a total resistance like this. Now this we usually neglect, because compared to this RH and RAB, this small r is negligible in the circuit. So when we take a potentiometer, the internal resistance is normally neglected of this battery. So this is what is I. I is equal to E by RH plus RAB. Then there is an RAB here. So this is into RAB. That is the voltage VAB, maximum voltage available across that wire. So this will now show you, this equation should now show you that VAB should always be less than the EMF here. I'll give you an example. Just an example, okay, not the real values. Let's take the EMF of this cell is 12 volt, right? And the rheostat is offering, let's say, 1 ohm. So I have E is 12 volt divided by, this is offering 1 ohm. So this is 1. Then let me say that this RAB is 3 ohms. Total resistance is 3. So I put this as 1, 3 ohm into 3 would be 12 by 4 into 3. That is 3 into 3 is 9 volt. So you are going to get VAB 9 volt if your EMF of the driver cell is 12 volt. That means you know that in series the voltages will get added up. Total voltage V must be equal to V1 plus V2. So out of this 12 volt, full 9 volt is across this wire. 9 volt across the wire, potential drop. Remaining 3 volt has appeared here. So that this 9 plus 3 is the total 12 that we have here. What I am trying to tell you is, if the EMF of your cell is 12 volt, you are never going to get that full 12 volt across this wire. You will get something less than the 12 volt, because there will be a potential drop across the rheostat also. So I hope you have understood that this VAB will always, that is the potential drop across the wire will always be less than the EMF of the driver cell. That is what I want you to understand. So if that's the case, and let's say you are trying to balance a cell here, galvanometer, this is the jockey, and let's say E1 is equal to, here I connected 12 volt and here I am trying to balance a 15 volt. You are never going to get null deflection, because even if you hold the jockey and pull till the end here, VAB, you now saw in my example, we are getting only 9 volt, which is less than the 12 volt. But what are you trying to balance? 15 volt, which will never happen. So it means that this cell must never have an EMF greater than the driver cell. The cell EMF that you have connected in the secondary circuit must always be lesser than the EMF of the driver cell, so that you will get your balance length here, meaning at least somewhere along the line you must be able to balance what you've connected here. So if you've connected 15 volts, suppose you have connected only, let's say, 8 volt, this full wire would have given you 9 volts. So as you pull the jockey to the right and somewhere here, when it reaches 8 volt, this and this will balance and you will get the balance length. Okay. So two faults, if you are not able to get zero deflection here, one, you put the polarity wrong. You put positive here, then it's correct. If you unknowingly put negative on this side, then that means it is never going to, it is always going to get added up and your galvanometer will never show null deflection. It will always carry current, okay, because you are allowing the current to flow in the same direction. Now, the other fault is that your driver cell EMF is less than the EMF of the cell here. So, even if you pull to the very end, you are not able to get this much voltage across the wire, and so you will not be able to get the balance length. That is, you won't be able to get the null deflection. So, these are the two faults if you have connected, if you do not get opposite deflection. Then I hope you understood why we prefer a potentiometer to determine the EMF and not a voltmeter, because when you use potentiometer, since galvanometer shows zero deflection, you are ensuring that there is no current through the cell, and if there is no current through the cell, we know that the voltage that is being balanced here is the EMF. Okay. Then how do you determine the sensitivity of your potentiometer? Sensitivity would mean, see, you know this K is equal to V by L. Okay. So it means that it is a potential gradient. That means how much potential difference across unit length of wire. Now, if I get smaller values of K, then naturally your potentiometer is more sensitive. It is able to give you more accurate readings. So you would prefer to have potentiometers with longer wires so that the potential gradient is smaller, which means that your potentiometer is highly sensitive because it can give you more accurate readings, meaning you can get more accurate readings if you have the smaller K value, because what is K actually? The smallest measurement that your potentiometer can make. Then that is because it is volt per meter. Then there is something called as the end error, where I told you K is equal to I rho by A. These are kept said to be a constant. Now, if in the lab you take your readings very close to this end A or to this end B, then what happens is there may be slight changes in the area of cross section where it is at the extreme ends, and because of that there will be a change in the K value. And if there's a change in the K value, if K is not a constant, then what happens is V not proportional to L. It is no more proportional to L, and the principle of your potentiometer is not valid anymore. So it's always ideal to get your readings somewhere in the middle of the wire, not towards the end of the wire, because then you will have what is called as the end error. Then, in order to find the how your balance length can change, I'm now introducing a new formula to you. K we know already, two formulas I told you is V by L. I also told you that is equal to I rho by A. Okay. Now here I'm going to take this formula V by L. If I'm talking about the potential difference across this whole length of wire VAB, then the total length is what I will divide it with to get the potential gradient. This VAB is what? Current in this wire multiplied by RAB divided by L. What is this current we discussed here? The potential here is the EMF E in the primary circuit. Then we have the rheostat RH plus this resistance of the wire RAB. I told you we won't bother about the small internal resistance R because it is negligible compared to these two values, into, so this is the expression for I that we have written, I through the wire, into RAB by L. This is what we have as K. Okay. K we also know is equal to, suppose you're balancing this EMF, then we know this is E1 by L1 or whatever is the balance length here. Did you get what I said? Because this we wrote as E1 proportional to L or E1 is equal to KL, right? So from this K value I can get as E1 by L, or that is also from the primary circuit I got this value using that VAB by capital L. Now suppose they tell you in an application question, they are telling you that a student increased the rheostat value. What happens to balance length? The moment you increase this, you know this is going to decrease because inverse proportion. So if you increase a rheostat value, this K will decrease. If K decreases, then that means the balance length here must increase or it will shift to right. Okay, we will be doing such sums in the worksheet, but this is there in your notes printed in the last page. So this is what I want to tell you, that if this rheostat value is increased, the potential gradient decreases, and if the potential gradient decreases, when you're balancing a cell, the balance length will shift to right because it will go on increasing. So this is that last topic in the chapter current electricity, and it is also a very important topic simply because you have it in the lab, and therefore Viva and application questions will be based on potentiometer. Thank you.